Thukpa is a generic term in Tibetan for all things noodle soup dishes, and while only certain Thukpa dishes have gained prominence outside Tibet, Tibetan cuisine actually includes a wide variety of noodle soup dishes. Tashidele! Welcome to my channel Himalayan Dumplings. If you're new to my channel, my name is Kiki and I share Tibetan recipes both old and new. In this recipe video, I'm going to show you how to make one of the most popular Thukpa dishes amongst Tibetans. We call it Thenthuk, which translates to hand-pulled noodles in Tibetan. You will learn how to make Thukpa the traditional way with no masala and just a few ingredients, but that's just as delicious. So let's get started. Here are the ingredients for making Thenthuk, starting off with radish, spinach, some tomatoes, onions, garlic, and some thinly sliced beef. We also have some beef bones, which are completely optional, and some erma, as we say it in Tibetan, or Sichuan peppercorn in English. We have some salt and some soy sauce. As for the thukpa, all you need is all-purpose flour and some water. That's it. We're going to start off Thenthuk by making the dough first. As a general rule of thumb, when making dough, you want to pour the water slowly, so that way you have a lot better control over the texture of the dough. If you have a dough machine or a mixer, you're welcome to use that as well. I just prefer doing it by hand, so that way I get a good arm workout in the process as well. Knead the dough until you have a fairly smooth surface, and once you have that, we will lightly grease the dough ball with some vegetable cooking oil and let it sit by covering it up. In this case, I have done so with a plate. And now that our dough is resting, we will move on to the broth. I'm going to bring the beef bones to a quick boil, so that way I can remove that foamy scum from our soup. To start off a broth, let's go ahead and heat some oil. If unsure if your oil is hot, go ahead and throw in a small piece of onion to see if it sizzles. If it does, go ahead and add the rest of your thinly sliced onions and give it a good mix in the hot oil. Once your onions have become fairly translucent, add your ginger garlic paste. Then next, add your thinly sliced meat, whether that's beef or buff or chicken or mutton, and give it a good mix. Also add some soy sauce and give it another good mix. Really important ingredient here, go ahead and add your ground erma. Give it another good mix. Once your meat has browned like that, that's the perfect time to add your tomatoes. Mix that well as well, along with salt. And which brings us to the next ingredient, which is radish. It is really important to have radish in a traditional bowl of delicious thenthuk, or any thukpa for that matter. And now that we have added most of our vegetables and seasonings, give that a really good mix, and we shall add water so we can let that cook and turn into some very flavorful broth. This of course is an optional step, but it does add so much flavor to the broth of your thukpa, so I highly recommend it if you can. Alright, let's check on our tushi, or our dough, which has become a lot softer after we let it rest. It is also going to be a lot more easier to knead it the second time around. So there is more than one way to make thenthuk, or hand-pulled noodle. I'm showing you the most traditional way first, which is by making a dough log, then using both your thumbs like I am in the video, flattening your dough log, because once that's flattened, we will simply be pulling the dough to make our thenthuk. And here is another way to make thenthuk, or hand-pulled noodle, which might actually be a little bit more efficient. You start off by making a dough log. If you can, try to make it into the shape of a square or a rectangular. Yeah, just like I have right there. And then using a knife, simply cut it into narrow strips like I have. So that way, all you have to do is use your two thumbs to flatten it, just like we did in the first method, the traditional method. Lastly, here's the fastest way to do it. Just cut them into rectangular strips like that. The word the in Tibetan means pull or to pull. So that's why the word Thenthuk is the dough should be very pliable and easy to pull. So we are literally pulling bits of our thukpa and adding them to our broth, which by now should be smelling so good. And the thukpa cooks very quickly as well. When the thukpa floats to the top or rises to the top, that's when you know that your thukpa is cooked. This brings us to our last ingredient, spinach. Because it cooks so fast, you want to add it only about a minute or two before you're ready to remove your delicious pot of Thenthuk, traditional Thenthuk, off your stove. If you found this traditional Thenthuk recipe video helpful or informative, please do give the video a thumbs up and leave your comments below, as I really enjoy reading your comments and feedback. Thank you so much for watching, and please be sure to subscribe to my channel if you enjoy Tibetan cuisine. Tujiche.